Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Systems for Sanity. I'm your host, Wes Ulmer, and I have my guest today, Herb Lipsman. He is the president and CEO of Sozo Clubs. It's a recovery community, and it's very interesting. I was talking with him briefly before we got on our podcast about it. Herb, could you share a little bit more with us about it?
Sure. And thanks for having me. Sozo it's a Greek word that means to heal, restore, and make whole. And we chose that word, my co-founders and I, because our clubs are going to be places of holistic wellness. And the idea is to treat the whole person. So we began this about 3 years ago. We started planning to launch these clubs. Our first club probably won't open yet for another 2 years, actually, the formative stages. But the whole idea is to have a third place for adults to go where they can sort of rejuvenate themselves and have a reset very regularly, multiple times a week. And they can get rid of all the stresses and anxiety and all those kinds of things that are coming at us. And then in addition to that, they're in a healthy environment where they can engage in healthy activities like pickleball and workouts and things of that nature with their friends.
I like that. So it's almost like a country club just without the bar, right?
Well, we're gonna have the bar too.
Oh, you're gonna have a bar too. Okay, well, great. That's even better. Um, well, that's cool. I think it's going to be a really neat concept. I was looking at your website. It looks like a California mansion.
It is. When we were first describing it, our architect is a gentleman by the name of Rudy Fabiano, who is pretty famous in the health club industry. And when we described for him a couple years ago what we were thinking, he said, "Well, you're describing a California mansion." And so we went out and picked one that we liked, and we've been using that as our inspirational image.
That's awesome. I'm excited. Hopefully, I can come out and check it out once you guys finally get it all built and everything. What was the genesis of the idea behind it? Like, what made you guys, and how did you meet your partners? Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So my two partners are Gary Hankin, who is from Washington, D.C., and Dan Lynch, who lives down in Florida. And the three of us have been longtime friends and colleagues in the health club industry, probably known each other for 40 years. And Gary had a very successful company that he exited about 5 years ago called WTS International. And WTS started out in the 1970s as a service where he would provide tennis pros to local clubs and hotels and resorts that needed them. And then it morphed over the years into tennis and fitness, and then tennis and fitness and spa. And when he exited, they had 3,000 employees across hundreds of client companies that they were the outsource that those organizations would hire to help them design, develop, operate their fitness and wellness amenities. Dan Lynch came up through the medical wellness side of the business, and he was instrumental in what's called the Medical Fitness Association's launch many years ago. And in fact, he helped write the certification manual that goes with that. And so, if you want to be certified as a medical fitness facility, you have to have a whole bunch of educational certifications and safety training and things of that nature to qualify for that type of certification. And he was one of the authors of that. And then myself, I came up through the luxury athletic club and country club world. My last 32 years have been in Houston. I ran what was called the Houstonian, which is one of the most prestigious athletic clubs in the United States, probably in the world. And we joke about it. I think it's probably the most expensive health club in America. And so I can talk a little bit about that later. But so Gary and Dan and I started noodling on this 3 years ago. Gary had the idea that he wanted to have a health club that was for adults only, and that it would be a place that you'd go to do both social and professional networking in a health club environment. And initially, we were talking about making it age 40 and over. And then about a year into it, we decided to bring it down to 30 and over, mainly because we all had kids in their 30s. So we knew that we didn't want to cut them out. And so
Did they lobby
we,
for that at all, or no?
they did. And so we decided that we very intentionally and purposefully, we wanted to not have children and childcare and teenagers and even 20 somethings, because we felt like that part of the market was being well served by the existing companies that are out there, the Lifetimes and Equinoxes and Orange Theories and all those folks. And
Right.
and we wanted to really focus on the more mature audience that we felt like was getting neglected. And, of course, everybody has senior programs, but nobody really has sort of mastered creating this great environment where you go to be around other professionals and other people that either are near the end of their careers and they want to give something back by helping younger folks coming up, or they're in the early stages of their careers and they want to be mentored by people that have been around for a while. And more importantly, we saw that there's this huge epidemic of isolation and loneliness that has been spurred by all of the stresses that are coming at us, economic stress and healthcare and longevity concerns, and people worried about AI and technology and geopolitical crises and the political polarization, all that stuff. I
Mhm.
call it the age of anxiety. And so we felt like that the health club world was not doing a very good job of addressing sort of the mental and emotional side of that. They're doing a good job on the fitness side. And so we decided to take a little different approach. And so we're creating this new lane for the industry that we're calling social wellness clubs.
I think that's fantastic. One of our good friends, Manny Diot, he runs a nonprofit called Ferrari Kid. Cause is very near and dear to his heart because as a kid, he had cancer. And so he is now helping other kids. He survived it. And so he's now helping other kids that have cancer. Kind of like a make a wish where he takes them out
Mhm.
shopping and all that kind of stuff. So really neat cause. And we've become good friends with Manny over the years. And one of the gentlemen that he introduced us to recommended we go check out Prestige Motorsports, which is a social club here in San Antonio for car enthusiasts. And we've when you create a specialized environment like that, like you guys are talking about, you draw a very particular type of person, kind of like Prestige, you draw a very particular type of person. And they have, member dinners and things like that. We went to one the other day and this younger kid that was there, a gentleman named, Baz, he was there and he's looking to myself and my COO, asking us all these business advice questions, and then I was like, "Well, Baz, how long have you had your company?" He goes, "Well, I started my car detailing business, and then I started this other business. It's like names like 4 or 5 other businesses. Like, what are you asking me for business advice for? Like, you already have like 5 businesses you're running." When I say car detailing, he shows me pictures. It's like, "Oh, we did this Porsche GT3 RS the other day. We did this Lamborghini the other day. We did." I'm like, "You get out of here. Like, you don't need my business advice. Like, you already got it figured out, and you're like 24."
Oh,
This guy but that very particular audience that you're going after, I think is going to love what you guys are gonna do because focusing on that health and wellness, but providing that environment that fosters the social aspects of it, the networking aspects of it, the people that are gonna be able to afford 'cause I guarantee it's not gonna be cheap, but the people that can afford to go there are gonna be in the same social economic groups and network well together.
sure, sure. Yeah, and I don't profess to be an expert at many things, but I've become kind of an expert at what I call the member mentality. In my career, I've probably personally been involved serving 10,000 plus members and mostly affluent. The clubs I manage are all more the higher price clubs. And what I would tell you is that none of the club at any price point in the industry right now get to know their members very well. They bring them in, they tour the club, they point out the features, they sign them up, they take their money, and then the members on their own. And we're going to take a very different approach. And the idea is to get to know you, Wes, as a prospective member. We're gonna want to know your whole story. And and then with your permission, we're going to enter that information into your profile. And then from that point on, every time you show up at the club, the entire staff is going to have ping on their little handheld that Wes is on the premises. And they can click on your profile and they can go, hey, Wes likes the Dallas Cowboys and he loves to play pickleball and he likes to drive cool cars. And so they have something that they can engage you in conversation with that is interesting to you, which makes that whole experience, no matter where you are in the club, everybody that works there is going to be trained on this. And then more importantly, we're going to introduce you to other members that have common interests to yours. And so we're going to be proactively matching members with one another every time people come in the club. Now, of course, you can say, "Hey, I'm too busy today," or "I'm not really interested," or whatever. but we think most of the people will really like this. And what ends up happening then is you form these new little tribes and communities within the club of people that make friends with, and the club becomes like glue. Like you can't give it up because you're so connected to the people there.
Right. No, I agree. It's and having I'm sure y'all have like little special events and things like that too, probably, right?
Yeah. Yeah, one of the other things that I've learned over the years is that clubs are made up of tribes. And so you've got the yoga tribe, and you've got the weightlifting tribe, and you've got the the spin bike tribe, and you got the lap swimmers, and they hang together. When they're there, they get to know each other. And so in a lot of cases, they end up socializing outside the club elsewhere because the club doesn't cater to that, and we're gonna flip that on its head. We're gonna only hold very, very frequent what I call tribal social events. So we're gonna invite all the spinners, once a month to come together and hang out at the bar and have a smoothie or a beer, and that we'll invite all the pickleballers to come and do the same thing. And so these will be part of the sort of the soul of the club.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I really like that. So how do you guys plan on are you guys going to use you for example already have probably quite a network within the,
Yeah.
country club, social club industry that you could maybe siphon some of those people off for Sozo Club, but how do you guys plan on reaching out and finding because you've got a very niche market that you're going after?
It is and it isn't. I mean, there's first of all, 30 and over. There's it's probably 2/3 of the population. By the way, this will shock you. In 2025, what do you think the age was that had the highest number of people turning that age in America? 65.
65, okay.
So the point to that is the baby boomers are all moving into their later years,
Oh
and
yeah, that's right.
then the next generation right after them are the same. And so what we think is gonna happen, and those folks have all the money. I mean, so as far as the price point that we'll charge, we're not gonna be exorbitant. We're gonna be probably in the same range as what some of the nicer health club companies out there today, the Lifetimes and Equinoxes, et cetera. And so it's gonna be a pretty broad audience. But some of the unique things that we're gonna do, one of the things that we're really excited about, we're gonna have a performing arts theater at our clubs. And the performing arts theater is designed to attract the non-exerciser. In the health club industry in 2025, the industry hit its peak penetration of the adult population in America, and it was the highest ever, and it was 25%, meaning
Hmm.
that 75% of the public chose not to belong to a gym or health club in 2025. And so after 50 years of the industry trying to do all these creative things with facilities and equipment and programs, we have really done a dismal job of attracting the lion's share of the people. And so we think we need to find other means of getting them in the door with social activities. And
Yep.
this performing arts theater will do is we'll have local talent shows on a daily basis. So you'll have theatrical, musical, comedy acts, TED Talks, all those kind of things that will bring people in that aren't necessarily gym goers. And when they're there, we're going to immerse them in all of our cool health club things, and hopefully we can convert them to membership over time.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that really broadens your base, and I mean, who knows? I would love to go see a comedy show at the same place that I get to hang out with my friends to do workouts and go
Yep.
swimming and all those other kind of things. What kind of technology type things are you going to be implementing in your club?
Yeah, again, one of the great things about starting this company today is we don't have to retrofit anything. We get to start from scratch and incorporate all of the latest technology that's available today. The operating system that we'll use will allow us to almost have the management of the club not have to be at a computer. You'll be out and about in the club dealing with the customer firsthand as opposed to sitting in your office pulling up, reports and budgets
Spreadsheet.
and billing and all that stuff. It's gonna be automated so that most of it gets done by itself. And then there's so many advances that have happened. We're gonna have our own system of screening prospective employees. We're gonna have a learning management system that we customize that's focused more on EQ and soft skills so that all of our people that work there will be really, really good at relating to other people. We're going to have this member matching software that we're going to create ourselves so that We'll know other members in the club that Wes would enjoy getting to know because of their mutual interests and backgrounds.
Okay.
We're gonna design the facilities so that we can use robotic cleaning systems during the off hours so that we can cut down on the number of people that have to do janitorial work and those kinds of things. We're planning on doing the similar air purification and equipment disinfection systems that hospitals use, so that some of it's done with lighting and some of it's done with the HVAC systems. And so all of those things that were important back, really super important back during COVID, for instance, we're going to address all those things technologically so that you don't have to rely on necessarily human error potentially.
Yep.
I used to joke about it back during COVID. All of the gyms and all the health clubs around the country had their staff out with little squirt bottles, spray bottles of disinfectant and little rags to wipe down equipment so that everybody would think that they were clean and safe. And there was absolutely no way that they were keeping things 100%. It was all for show. They were trying to give an image that they were being very conscientious, but there was no way to keep everything clean. It wasn't anywhere as close to what a hospital is required to do in order to take good care of their patients. And so we're gonna take advantage of technology to make sure that our clubs are super clean, super disinfectant, and much safer than they used to be.
That's awesome. So you were mentioning some of your partners earlier. You said you took a trip to LA just recently?
Well, yeah, one of the things that that's new for me is I've been in our capital raising phase, and so you've experienced this before, I'm sure. And so I've been doing a lot of outreach to investors and to other people that have been there, done that, and raising money for their startups. And I came across John Mackey, who was the founder and former longtime CEO of Whole Foods Market, based in Austin. And I just reached out to him because I had read that he was starting a new, what would call a medical health club company called Love Life. And so I sent him an email and I told him what we were doing with Sozo, and I just wanted to get together with him virtually to be able to kind of collaborate and see if there were any things that we could help each other out with. And he invited me out to their first club out in LA. And so I went out a couple weeks ago and had a nice visit with him, got to tour the club and meet some of the staff. And and so hopefully we'll have a long friendship going and be able to share information with one another to help both of our companies.
Yeah. Sounds like a great idea. How much are they planning on expanding? Are they planning on doing
Well,
like,
I
one per
I think that they
major
eventually want to
metro or
scale
what?
that they eventually want to scale that concept. And I do know that Austin is one of the locations they want to come. They're very early on. I just finished reading his book, The Whole Story, and he tells the story of how Whole Foods came to be. And
The whole
and
story, I
so
like that. Very
so so
clever.
he's actually back at the early days that he was with Whole Foods with this new concept with Love Life. And the difference is now he's very savvy in business. So, back with Whole Foods, he was a raw, kind of a newbie. And here he's a business veteran with great success that we'd be able to apply all that to the new medical health club concept.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, imagine if you could go back and restart whatever company, if I could go back and start SD Tech from the beginning again, knowing what I know now. And problem with us is a lot of it's technology based. So technology advantages that we have today, just like knowledge advantages we have today, was not available back when I started. So when you're in it for 25 plus years, it's a lot changes.
You asked about technology, and one of the things that I intend to incorporate into our culture is that all employees are not only going to be allowed to use AI in all kinds of ways, but they're going to be encouraged and trained on how to use it to their advantage. I've always felt, after all these years of managing large groups of people, leading large groups of people, that we miss out on the best thinking of 90% of the people that work in our organizations. And what ends up happening is they become sort of like robots where they show up for work and they do their assigned task and they punch in and they punch out, and that's all you get. You get a hard day's work, but you never get their best thinking. And so in the club business, there's so many things going on at any one time. You've got group exercise instructors and they're teaching a class and the members are saying, the temperature is too warm, or, I don't like that music, or I'd rather we have a little bit different type of movement in the class. and that a lot of that gets lost because the instructor doesn't really have anywhere to go with that information. Whereas if they could be able to go immediately after class and go in and verbally just share what they heard, and then all that's going into a kind of a consolidated brain for the company
Yep.
that's just making you better and smarter all the time. And that's true of every place in the club. The people that work in maintenance are learning things every day about how the equipment could run better. The people that are on the fitness floor are learning about how they can train people better. The pickleballers are learning ways to avoid injuries. All and what we want to do is create this culture where the staff is not only encouraged to give that kind of feedback regularly, but that we're giving them tools and training so that they can really take advantage of it. And you get this constant learning loop where the company's just getting smarter and smarter and better at everything it does on a daily
Yeah,
basis.
that's incredible. Even with all the years that I've been in IT and dealing with technology, there's still things that can stump me. I had the other day my computer started randomly rebooting. This is a brand new Surface Laptop 7 for business, so it's got the Intel CPU and all that stuff inside. Pretty run of the mill laptop, nothing super fancy. It's nice, it's pretty quick. But I would just be typing an email and thing would just reboot. Just we used to call it blue screening back in the day, but it's called the black screen now. So it's black screen of death, or it just basically does a little bug check and then restarts, and then you get back at the login screen again. So I've been kind of dealing with it. It's been doing it on and off again for the past week or two, and it's been getting really, really annoying. And so the other morning, so I just got back from vacation. My wife and I took a vacation to Barbados. Nice opportunity to disconnect. But first thing in the morning, Monday morning, here I am back in the office trying to get work done, and the damn thing's restarting on me
Yep.
like every hour. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And so finally, like
You're a
the third time,
hostage.
oh yeah, third time it did it, I said, I had an epiphany. I said, you know what? I'm willing to bet every time it black screens like that and reboots, it creates a memory dump of all the information from the memory at that point in time when the system crashed. And so you can analyze those memory dumps. You have to have software to do it. You have to know how to read it and all this kind of stuff. Man, I'm busy trying to run a company. I don't have time to do research on what kind of software I need to use and how to read it and all this kind of crap. I need something to just do it for me. And it dawned on me, I was like, you know what? If I had the bug check, ChatGPT, I wonder if ChatGPT knows how to read it.
Yeah.
So I fed it in ChatGPT, and the thing that you getting your employees to use more of their intelligence
Right.
to leverage the AI better. It's all about how you prompt it. So I'm
And
telling it for, a level 3 engineer at an IT company, blah, blah, blah. You have a client's computer that keeps restarting. You're trying to get to the bottom of it, and you have the memory dumps.
people out in manual labor jobs out in the field can just on their phone, they can just go to ChatGPT or Claude or whichever AI assistant they use and ask it a question. Here's the picture. Here's what I'm looking at. What do I do?
Yep.
Which wire goes to which one?
Yeah. No, and it's genius. And so I uploaded that memory dump to it, and I said, analyze this memory dump and tell me what's causing the computer to crash. And it's like, okay. I figured it was probably a driver, but man, that this computer has, 50, 150 different pieces of hardware with drivers for every single one. It's like, I don't know which one is the one causing it. And so it analyzes it. It's like, okay, thinking, I think I found it. No, wait, I discovered this other thing over here, looking into that a little bit more, doing more deep thinking, more research. And this goes on for about, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes. And then finally it comes back and goes, oh, okay, I figured it out. So these newer computers have a thing called an MPU. I'm sure you've heard of a CPU. That's the computer
Yep.
brain, right? And then you have the GPU, that's the graphics processing unit. The
Yep.
NPU is the neural processing unit, and it's what AI, like the AI sub-processes in Windows, use the NPU now if it's available in the computer. So this driver that runs, that allows the computer to access the NPU, this driver doesn't interact well in certain versions of Windows with some other working process that uses it, and it causes it to reboot and bug check. So I was like, okay, it said, hey, what you need to do, you're running this version, you need to upgrade to this version. Here's the link to download the latest version. I was like, oh, that's easy. Download, run the install, reboot the computer. Not a bug check or crash since. I'm like, now this is what AI just saved me 4 to 6 hours of
Yep.
jacking around with my computer trying to get to the bottom of this problem, and it fixed it in 5 minutes. It's
Yeah.
like, that's
No.
awesome.
And so then there's going to be others that have, if you were in an organization that had a bunch of people like, in what you do, they're going to be able to solve that problem too, if it
Yep.
comes up.
becomes
Yeah,
not
no,
tribal
there's so
knowledge.
many, and the mindset needs to be changed completely to where you don't have to go to another person to get the answer, or wait for someone to call you back or any of those kind of things. You can get the
Yep.
answer almost instantaneously to just about everything.
Yeah, that's it's very true. It's very true. It's so powerful and the things you can do with it. And I started playing with Notebook LM the other day. I don't know if you've used that at all.
I have, yeah.
Amazing. Yeah,
It's
amazing.
crazy.
I fed it our so we're franchising SD Tech. So I fed it our website and it created a mock podcast
Yeah,
of
I did
two
the
people
same thing.
talking about our website. Oh, it's a IT business model that doesn't require the franchisee to know technology and da 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 da. And I was like, this is actually kind of entertaining. So I listened to
Yeah,
about 11 out of the 15 minutes. I was like, this is cool. But it's just, I mean, all that stuff is just so amazing, and we're
yeah.
barely scratching the surface.
And it's
Like
getting better every day. That's the other thing.
better every day. So I love the fact that you guys are really leaning into the technology. So you're using the human aspect of the face-to-face interaction with the customer, and then you're layering on top of technologies of like, oh, hey, we know that Wes is on site now. Don't forget, like his wife's birthday's next week or something like that. Maybe ask
Uh,
Wes like what he's going to do for his wife's birthday kind of things.
I'll give you my favorite use that I use. I'm probably using AI 2 to 4 hours a day.
Okay.
And my favorite one is to channel experts in whatever area that I'm trying to get guidance on. As a leader of an organization, there's a lot of things that I need help with, and so I'll give you an example. I read a book about 6 months ago called The $1 Trillion Coach, and it was about a guy named Bill Campbell. He's deceased now. He was a football coach for Columbia University, and one of his players ended up going out to Silicon Valley as a CEO and talked him into coming out there because he thought he was such a great coach. He wanted him to help him coach his lieutenants in the company. And so he moved his family out there. And to make a long story short, he became this really sought after high level executive coach in Silicon Valley. He ended up being Steve Jobs' coach, and he was a coach to Eric Schmidt, and he was a coach to three or four of the other big names in the technology world. And so I read the book and I thought I was so impressed with it. I said, well, I needed a Bill Campbell coach for me. And so then I went on AI and I said, I want to get some coaching advice from an executive coach that has similar characteristics to the $1 Trillion Coach. And they said, okay, well, we'll channel Bill Campbell for you. And so every week I can go in and I can say, channel my Bill Campbell coach to here's what I've accomplished this week. Here's what I'm looking forward to next week. Give me some guidance, and I'll get just instantly this well thought out one or two page summary of things I should be thinking about. And you know, sometimes probably 60-70% of it is stuff I'm already doing or thinking, but there's
Right.
always something. There's always a nugget or two that I hadn't thought of yet, or a different twist that then helps me to be better at what I'm doing.
Yeah, it really is amazing. One of the other things I just started too, speaking of coaching, is I'd like to ex SD Tech,
Yeah.
and I'd also like to start implementing more process and procedure that's bulletproof to allow me to step back from the business more to where I'm not having to be involved in all the daily decisions. And a lot of the things it brings up is, hey, if you were gone for a week, what would fall apart? If you were gone for 2 weeks, what would fall apart? It's asking you some very important
Yeah.
questions that I may not want to answer
Yeah.
in order in order to get across the finish line. You have to get, and I love it too. Have you watched much of Dan Martell at all?
No, I haven't.
I'll send you on LinkedIn. I'll send you
Yeah.
some of Dan Martell's videos. Man, he is. If you like coaches and people with great ideas, and especially AI, highly recommend watching Dan Martell. But Dan Martell, I think the best nugget I ever picked up from him in recent months was some tweaks to the base behavior of ChatGPT. ChatGPT a lot of times is very much a yes man.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Wes, you're so awesome. Oh, you're such great ideas and this and that. It's like my
Yeah.
ideas aren't that great. As ChatGPT, you have access
Sycophant.
to the entire internet of all the information. You better have a better idea than I do. So prompting it in the settings and basically telling it, your job is to question everything I say and make my ideas bulletproof. And
Right.
if you don't understand, ask more questions. And so that hard coding that into its behavior for every single response
Yeah.
has gotten me way better responses
Yeah. It's
than ever
great
before.
thinking. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
great
it's
advice.
amazing. Yeah, all this AI and it's advancing at such a rate. We
My one comment to you, as you were saying that is, and this is gonna, I take a different approach than a lot of people in the health in the club business, but I think culture comes way before systems and procedures. And when I describe culture, I'm talking not only about your company's values and principles and that sort of thing, which you have to have that nailed down the way you want to operate, but also in your hiring and in your trust level with your employees. You know, if I hire a personal trainer and they're going to go out on the floor and serve customers and whatever, there is no possible way that I could write enough policies and procedures to cover every possible circumstance that they're going to face with all
Yep.
the different clients they're going to have. What I need to know is that, A, do they have a servant heart when they come to us? Do they have the certifications and competencies necessary to, in an educated fashion, perform the job? And then, do I trust them? Do I trust that they're going to look out for the best interest of their client and the company? And I have to, and if I make that happen with every person that works for us, then I don't have to worry about whether or not they're going to follow the perfect procedure for every decision that comes along. Because there's going to be so many, I call them, there's going to be so many moments of truth in a single day in one of our clubs that we can't have a policy for every one of those. So
Right.
I want my people to be able to make good judgment calls, not necessarily the call I would have made, but a call that's the right one. And then I can trust that, so I don't have to worry about what's going on in the business on any given time. And like you said, if I'm going to be gone for a week or a month or whatever, I want the club to run as good or better as if I was there.
Yeah, no, that's true, and culture is huge. I know with when I brought my COO on board, Shane, we took a drastic turn upward in our revenue, and a lot of it had to do with what his leadership that he put in place underneath me and the people that he brought on board to help us grow. And a big part of what he wanted the ability to do is to help shape the company culture, to
Hmm.
bring the people on that he knew would integrate with that company culture and would, technicians that are not just robotically serving the clients, they actually care about
Right.
helping the client and getting the outcome that the client wants and going the extra mile. Okay, so you had to stay 30 minutes past your shift end. Was the client just ecstatic with the service they got? Yes, absolutely. Are they going to go tell everyone how wonderful we are? Yeah, absolutely, with that kind of service.
Perfect example. And so that person that has that in their DNA, you don't have to you don't have to tell them. You know,
Right.
you make sure that they know how to do the task, but other than that, you let them do their thing and you let them make good judgment calls.
Yep. No, that's 100% accurate. Well, as we're getting close towards the end of our time, I wanted to ask if you had any additional closing thoughts about tech.
It's going to get worse up. And some people are just outdoors people, and you're going to go out and you're going to go ride a bike or run or walk or whatever, but you can't do it every day because of the weather. And so there's got to be a place that you can go to sort of re-energize, reset, calm yourself down, be around friends, and then be ready to go conquer the world again the next day better.
I think that's amazing. I'm really excited. I want to see it when you guys are done. So hopefully I get an invitation to the grand opening so I
You
can come
will for
check it out. I'll
sure.
drive to Houston, no problem.
Good deal.
Are you guys thinking about doing any kind of franchising or what would be the next
No,
expansion step after?
because there's so many human touches in our facilities, we think that we'll end up being corporately owned at least for at least several years until we've
Okay.
really established that culture so deeply that you probably could franchise at that point.
No, that makes sense. Okay. Well, if people are interested in finding out more about what you guys are working on, what you guys have in the pipeline, how would they get a hold of you?
I'll give you a couple points
Sure.
of information. So our website is just www.sozo, S-O-Z-O, clubs, plural.com. And then my email address is herb.lipsman@sozoclubs.com.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's great. I really enjoyed our conversation today, and I appreciate all your insight on everything. And I'm excited what the future has in store for you guys.
Well, thanks for having me, and I look forward to keeping the friendship going.
Yes, sir. Have a great rest of your day, Herb. Thank you.
Take care.